Okay guys, I'm going to show you a new computer that I just built. I was going to record me actually putting it together, but it took me actually a long time, probably a few hours, over a few days. So I couldn't do a video of me putting it actually together. So I'll put it all together, I'll show you the components. So I'll go over that real quick with you. And hopefully for all of you that want to build your own computer one day, this will actually make it a little bit easier. It actually is very easy. I just followed the directions that came with the motherboard, and everything worked out pretty good. So I'll show you the components that I have. Here's the actual case. This is the Phantom 410 mid-tower chassis, and as you can see, it actually has a window on the side here. It does come with 3 built-in fans already too. So this is a mid-tower, not a full tower, so I didn't want anything too big, so it had just enough for what I needed. So that's the Phantom 410 mid-tower chassis or case. And then next up, I'm going to go in order here, starting from at the bottom here. This is my power supply unit, or PSU. This is the Corsair CX750, that's 750 watts. They make a lot of different models and different types of power supplies, but I chose 750 because it was probably right in between what I needed and what I wanted. They'll have a lot of different types. They have modular series, but I got the builder series. It probably cost me about $80. Here is the processor that I have. This is the i7-3770K. It's an LGA 1155 socket, so it's important that, you know, if you're going to try to build your own computer, you have to have the right processor that fits your motherboard. So that's what you need to know. The socket is LGA 1155, so that's actually the socket. Make sure you get the motherboard that fits your processor. So this is the i7-3770K, and the difference between the K and other processors is the K is actually unlocked, meaning you can actually overclock it and make it go faster. So what I actually did was, this the stock speed is supposed to be 3.5 gigahertz. I overclocked it to 4.5 gigahertz. So I'll talk a little bit more about that later. Here's the motherboard I picked. It's a Gigabyte GA-Z77X-UP5-TH. Now the reason I picked this, and everything I basically picked here in this video got picked on articles I would read online, whether it's CNET or Tom's Hardware or other PC websites. So basically everything I picked is pretty much top-notch stuff. So the reason I picked this Gigabyte motherboard is that it actually had a bunch of USB 3.0 ports internally, and it also had 2 Thunderbolt ports, which is very hard to find in any motherboard. So I did want the Thunderbolt ports because sorry about that. I did want Thunderbolt ports because I do move a lot of video files back and forth. So I will tell you, USB 3.0 is probably a good 3 times faster than USB 2.0, and Thunderbolt is probably 3 times faster than USB 3.0, so it's probably about 10 times faster than USB 2.0. So that's the reason I actually chose this motherboard. And it's supposed to be good for overclocking also, so it actually comes with 2 Thunderbolt ports, not just 1. Alright, here's the keyboard I picked. It's an illuminated Swiftech keyboard. I wanted to get a wireless keyboard, but I like the mechanical feel of this one. And it does change colors, so from red, blue, and purple. So it does have backlighting. So this is the one that I've used in the past, and I stuck with this one. Here's the video card I picked. I didn't pick anything too expensive because things were starting to add up. This one cost me about $230. This is the Diamond Radeon HD7870. Comes with 2 mini display ports, an HDMI port, and a DVI port. It has 2 gigs of memory. I picked this one because it's middle of the line. I don't plan to be doing a lot of gaming on the computer, but I did want something that had decent memory and that would be decent for rendering video. And it does actually make a difference when watching videos on YouTube. When you want to watch them in 720p or 1080p, it actually does make the process a lot smoother. Here's the mouse that I picked. I picked the Logitech MX mouse. This is a wireless performance mouse. This one's pretty good. This is just a DVD because I only have the packaging for the 24-speed DVD-RW, so that's an ASUS. There's the Thunderbolt cable packaging. This is a 5.25-inch professional media card reader. That's USB 3.0 that I put inside the case. So obviously this is to read my SD cards, and also it's got a USB 3.0 port in there too, and it can read other multimedia cards also. Here's the cooling that I got. So instead of the stock fan that comes with the i7-3770K processor, I decided to do liquid cooling, try something different, and this is so that the processor does not overheat, especially since I am going to be overclocking it. So I actually show what this looks like, but this was a pretty good buy, and I would recommend it as long as you're not afraid to mess with polyethylene glycol, or basically antifreeze for your computer. Here's one of the hard drives I got for the computer. It's the Transcend 256 GB SSD. I also have a Western Digital Black Caviar 2 GB hard drive that I'm going to use for the files, but this is where I'm going to install the operating system. Ideally SSD is used for all your programs, and you should probably get a normal hard drive for storage, and that's what I have also. The box is empty, but the memory that I'm using is made by G.Skill Ripjaws, 16 gigabytes, and I'll show you that when I actually show you the chassis. So this is basically everything that I have here, and now I'm going to actually show you what it looks like all put together, and I'll try to show you some of the components inside. Okay, here is what the tower actually looks like. It's on right now. I do have a multi-monitor setup, so I'm not going to show you that, but I'm going to show you the tower. I'm sure you're more interested in what the tower looks like and how it's set up. So I did get the Phantom NZXT Phantom 410 mid tower. Alright, a full-size tower probably would go up to my desk here, so that's why I got a mid tower. But to open the front door, you push on the button here, and it opens up. So as you can see, there's a lot of different ones they have. They have red, black, they have white and black. I actually chose the white and blue. Okay, I like blue. Blue is my favorite color, so I did choose blue. So inside, this is what, here is the actual media card reader that I installed. As you can see, USB 3.0, SD card, XD, micro SDXE, compact flash media card reader. So basically any reader for any type of memory card for whatever type of camera, whatever you have. Here's the ASUS DVD RW drive, and this actually came with the motherboard. It's the Gigabyte. It's an internal. It was a 3.5 inch internal drive, so I had to buy this adapter here. This is really cheap. So basically I have three 5.25 5.25 inch bays, and I filled each of them up. And like I said, the main reason I wanted the motherboard for what I got was USB 3.0 is definitely a lot faster than 2.0, so when you're transferring files it does make a big difference. So that's the 5.25 inch drives. So to close it, you just clicks. Now behind here is a fan that actually is cooling off the inside of the computer. You probably can't see it too well, but there's a fan inside there, so I have it cooling off the hard drives. This light actually is your power light right here. This light here, it's flashing. That's your hard drive activity light. This is your on-off button. Here's your reset button. Now on the top here, this is for headphones, headphone jack, and this is for a speaker out jack. And then you have 4 USB ports up here. As you can see, I wanted a lot of USB ports because I have a lot of iPods, iPhones, a lot of different things that I have that are USB 3.0 and 2.0, so a lot of flash drives I use too. So as you can see, USB 3.0, hopefully you can see, they're blue, okay, the 2.0 they're black. And the good thing about the motherboard that I picked also is that it has fast charging USB ports. So these 4 ports are hooked up to the it's called the on-off charge made by Gigabyte. So these are fast charging, so it actually charges the phones 3 times faster. And this little switch here, it's set up to control the internal fans I have. So that's low speed, that's medium speed, and the top is high speed. So it does get a little bit louder when you choose high speed, so I don't know if you can see it. But at low speed, the LED light on the top 140mm fan actually dims a little bit. Here's your medium speed. There's your high speed. So it also gets brighter with the different speeds. And you can set it up any way you want. You can hook it up to the motherboard, controlled through the BIOS, but I actually hooked it up to the tower because I didn't want to have to go into the BIOS every single time to control the speed. I usually keep it on low because it's the quieter setting. Okay, let's come around to the side here. There is a window here, okay, that is on this chassis, and the reason I like this window is because you can actually see the components inside. You can't tell obviously, but this tower keeps everything very cool. So I have a fan in the front here that's blowing in on the hard drives, and then there's this fan at the top here that I was showing you, okay, and that's actually pulling the hot air out, and you can't see it, but there's actually a fan inside here too that's blowing on the video card, which I'll open it up and show you guys too. So excuse me, I'm under the table, but here is the actual Swiftech H2O system. Now if you had a full tower case, you can actually mount this on the inside of your case, but the full tower is way too big than what I needed, so I mounted it on the back. So this is what's called the Rad box. This I had to buy extra, it was about 20 bucks to be able to mount this on top, on the back of the chassis. But as you can see, the green tubing, that's actually the antifreeze or the polyethylene glycol going from the radiator. This is the radiator, okay, so there are fans on the inside of the radiator that actually transfer the hot air from the CPU in there out to the radiator, and the fans cool off the radiator, so it keeps everything cool. This is actually the reservoir where you can fill up antifreeze or the polyethylene glycol if you wanted to. And I know you probably can't see it, but down here is actually the pump. So you got a pump built in with the radiator here, the two fans, and the reservoir. So I like this look. As you can see, it looks pretty cool with the green antifreeze going through these pipes. And it's actually cooling off my processor, which is right in there. Alright, and that thing, that block, I guess you call it, that goes on top of the processor is called the apogee. And the apogee screws right over the i7 processor. You do have to use thermal paste. So I use the Diamond IC Plus thermal paste because that got a lot of reviews. So it actually transfers heat very well between the processor and the apogee. So that's right on top of the processor, and as you can see with the window, you can actually see the cool antifreeze going through the piping to the Swiftech radiator. And then as you can see in here, you see those red memory cards. That's the G.Skill Ripjaws. Each of those, and there's 4 of them, is 4 gigabytes. So I have a total of 16 gigabytes. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to open this now and show you a little bit more inside. So there's a couple of screws here. Hopefully you guys can see this. Sorry, it's under my table, so it's a little dark, so I have to have the flash on. Screw there. And there is a screw down here. Okay. And now it basically slides. I'll pull this out. It's a little tight. I might have to use 2 hands. Okay, give me a sec. Okay, I had to use 2 hands to get off because it's a little snug, so here you go. This thing is called the, this is the Apogee HD. That goes right over the processor, so you can't see the processor. The antifreeze or polyethylene glycol is coming from the pump on this one here. It goes inside there and comes out here. So as it's going in, it's taking the heat from the CPU and it's transferring back to the radiator, and the fans actually cool off the antifreeze by blowing on the radiator. I have it set at the lowest setting right now. It's on low. When you have it set on high, it does keep the computer very cool, but it is a little bit loud. Here's the 4 sticks of memory right here. Each is 4 gigs, as I said, and I like the red look, gives it some color. There's the back of the DVD-RW drive. As you can see with the motherboard, that little power button. So you could also, if you didn't want to mount everything inside the tower, you could use that as a power button. Okay. There is the Corsair CX750 power supply unit. As you can see, they have this nice, keeps it neat. They have all the cabling nice and neat in these jackets. And then also here, this is the Radeon 7870 video card. Okay, now it is a powered video card, so this is the PCIe power cords coming from the power unit that's plugged into this card. So you do have to have this card powered. Okay, and if you wanted to, you could do 2 of these cards and collect them through what they call Crossfire or SLI, some companies call it. But actually, I'm not going to do that simply because you know, I don't need to. I'm not doing a lot of gaming, so I don't need a lot of video card processing. But the good thing about this tower is, and I can't get to the other side, so I can't show you right now, but I have all the power lines from the PSU unit going to that side of the tower, and then it reroutes, and you can't see it, but it reroutes to this side of the tower. So all the wires on this side of the tower on the outside, and you can't see it, but it keeps everything neat right here. So everything, for the most part, is kind of open, as you can see. Okay, it goes out right there, and I have them twist tied on the side of the tower over there, so it keeps everything on the inside here neat. Okay, here is the 2 GB Western Digital Caviar Black drive, and down here is the Transcend 256 GB SSD hard drive. Okay, another good thing about this tower, this is for your 5¼ inch drives that you put in here. It's basically a screwless function. So what you do is, okay, you basically, that's locked. So right now it won't budge. Okay, I'm sorry. There we go, right there. Okay, now it's locked. So what you got to do is you basically just got to pull it. Forward is locked. Back is unlocked if you want to remove the drive. So you don't have to mess with the little screws. Okay, so you have 3 slots for those. So right now, if I had a drive in there, I would close it, push this forward, and now it's locked in place. Makes drive removal easy. Okay. Let's see, there's the fan. That's cooling, taking the hot air out and pulling it out the top. Alright. And it's got an LED light on there too, so it's pretty cool. And then over here, see if you can see it, there's another internal fan. Alright, and I have that blowing on the video card. So it's actually keeping the video card cool also. So you got 1, 2, and then you can't see it, but there's one inside there in the front. You got 3 fans that actually come with the chassis. So three fans that come with the tower, okay? 1 cooling off my hard drives. This fan here cooling off my video card. And this fan here basically just pulling all the hot air from the inside out the top. So it's very cool right here. Okay, so I mean, that's pretty much it. There's probably more details I can show you, but you know, I think the coolest feature of this computer is that with the liquid cooling, it does keep the CPU very, very cool. Normally, if you want to use the stock, what they call the heatsink or the fan, you probably have to keep it at stock speed. But since I'm overclocking it, I'm currently using this computer at 4.5 gigahertz, whereas the stock speed is only 3.5. So this definitely keeps the computer very, very cool. And I can't show you, but the actual Windows experience score for this computer, it came in at a 7.8. The highest you can get is 7.9. So of every test that they did, I only scored a 7.8 on the, for some reason, the calculations per second one, and the video processing. So I don't even know why it was not a 7.9, but probably the only thing I'm thinking is the video card that I have, like I said, is a middle of the road. So probably if I got a more expensive one, $300, $400, $500, $600 video card, probably I would have scored a 7.9. And I think the processor, as I said, I have it overclocked to 4.5, so I don't know why the calculations per second came out a score of 7.8 versus 7.9, but overall everything else was rated 7.9, which is the highest you could possibly get by Windows. So right now it does serve my purposes pretty good. Let me tell you, it is very fast compared to what I've had in the past. So when I'm rendering video, it does make a big difference, because there would be times not only does the Thunderbolt and the USB 3.0 make moving files back and forth very, very fast, rendering video is actually a lot faster with the 16 gigabytes of RAM, those 4 cards right there, and then also just having 4.5 gigahertz versus the stock 3.5 gigahertz. So you can't see it back here, but there's a Thunderbolt. I'm just gonna get to the other side. Okay, hopefully you guys can see that, but that's the back of the motherboard. Okay, you see that that white cord, that's my Thunderbolt cable right there. So I have that Thunderbolt cable going to a right there. That is my backup hard drive. It's a 3 terabyte Seagate backup plus hard drive that has a Thunderbolt adapter. So that's the Thunderbolt back here. As you can also see, with the Gigabyte motherboard, it does have a whole bunch of USB 3.0 connectors. It's got a VGA, it's got a DVI, it's got HDMI, but I actually use the video card connectors there. As you can see, since I have 2 monitors, I have a DVI and a HDMI. Okay, and here is another view of the polyethylene glycol coming from the Swiftech H2O. So as you see, this port here, that's that little unit on the bottom. That is the actual pump. So it's pumping it out into the CPU, and then that over there on the outside, that goes into the radiator. Okay, and that one right there. Hold on. Okay. So as you see in the video, the one to the left is, or the top of your video, that is the one that actually goes into the radiator, gets cooled by the fan. So you got this one here, that's the pump, okay, and this one here, that's the return, basically going into the radiator. Okay, you got a lot of different cables here, which I won't get into, but here's the back of the actual chassis. Okay, I tried to make it brief, but like I said, if you guys are concerned about or ever thought about building your own computer, it was actually pretty easy. Just all you got to do is the directions that I followed was the directions that came with the motherboard, and that will walk you through every single step that you need to know. So in terms of components, I think I always recommend Tom's Hardware or going to CNET to find out which components are rated, and they'll tell you the differences, more specs than I even understand. But I basically picked everything that got good ratings, and everything probably, not including software. I already had software, Windows and Microsoft Office, that I had separately. So if you added that to it, that's $200. This whole computer probably cost me about $2,000, and that's not including the monitors, so that's a little bit more. Not cheap, but considering, you know, it has exactly what I wanted, and I think I always went back and forth whether or not I wanted to build one or buy a computer. But in the past, when I would buy a computer, it didn't have exactly what I wanted. So I think it's really hit or miss depending on, you know, what you need. So the biggest thing for me is the Thunderbolt ports, because I do transfer a lot of video files back and forth. So that for me, like I said, you won't really know the difference until you actually use a Thunderbolt drive, because it is 10 times faster. I think I transferred 1 gig video file using Thunderbolt in probably 10 seconds. Literally 10 seconds to move 1 gigabyte video from my Thunderbolt drive to the computer. So also the USB 3.0 is literally probably at least 3 times faster than USB 2.0. So I actually timed these things to see if it really was faster, or it was all a gimmick, and it actually is a lot faster. So I definitely recommend whatever you want to, if you want to build a computer, buy a computer. Make sure it has a lot of USB 3.0 ports, and if you can get Thunderbolt, absolutely I recommend that. So if you have any questions, let me know. Like I said, it's the first computer I ever built, and it was actually very easy. I think the only thing I really had trouble with is in the beginning when I plugged everything into the PSU down there. I kind of had all the cabling just all jumbled up in here. But then after I put it together, and I realized that, you know what, I wasn't taking advantage of all these openings on the side of the chassis where I could route the wires to the outside and hide it on the outside. I did redo that. But other than that, it was actually pretty easy. It did take me some time, but now that I've done it one time, probably won't take me more than a few hours to build another one. So definitely don't be afraid of making your own computer. I think you would just have to weigh what you're going to use it for, and you know, maybe a computer that you could buy from like a Dell or a HP, if it's worth it or not. So, but for me, I wanted the overclock speed. I wanted as much speed as possible. I definitely like the look different than like a generic Dell tower. So this one's white with the blue trim. Okay, I like the fact that, you know, the fans I can adjust myself. Okay, see? Alright, and I also definitely like the fact that this has a lot of USB ports, and I basically chose what I wanted to put in the tower. So tons of USB ports. I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and not including probably the 6 or 7 I have in the back. So tons of USB ports. And just in general, knowing that you know, everything I bought was top notch, you know, it's a self-satisfaction, I think, that it gives yourself when you build your own computer and everything's up and running and everything's smooth and everything's fast. So if you have any questions, let me know. I think it was pretty easy, and you know, if you definitely want a computer that's very specific and tailored to your needs, you may want to consider building one. But if you're just an average user, just using it for the internet, then maybe you could probably just buy one pre-made from a manufacturer. But this is pretty easy. If you have any questions, let me know. But once again, here's my PC that I just built, and it is mad cool and crazy fast. Thanks.